Hello everyone, this is my day 5 for the Gratitude Challenge 2021, hosted by the delightful Jen from Science to Soul Tarot and Transformation. I am seriously running late. The last 3 weeks have been nothing short of frantic, stressful. God, it just has not been the best start to the year. So I am going to soldier on only because I think I mentioned this in an earlier video. I did draw the cards in real time and spend time with them. It's just sitting down to record, and I was only going to make them 5-minute videos anyway. And I think just taking the time to sit down and share, it's just calmed my nervous system a little. So if you're still here, I just want to say thank you. Speaking of gratitude, I'm really grateful that you, popped in for this exercise. If you are watching, Jen, this has inspired me in so many ways. Even though we spend time with our cards more or less every day, I think most of us do, just taking that extra time to focus on one. I mean, normally we do that when we get a new deck, but this has been a wonderful exercise for me because I'm using different decks each day. So it's not even about the deck itself, it's just taking time to reconnect with that particular card, the meaning of that card according to the artwork that I'm looking at, as well as the traditional. Like, it's just right across the board. What does the Hierophant mean? What does it mean to me? What are my experiences with the Hierophant? And then I bring into that the gratitude aspect. It has been wonderful, and you've really encouraged me to sit down and basically start all over. And I think it's something that I've been meaning to do for a long time anyway. But this has really warmed my heart. So I just want to say right now, I should be saying this at, wrap up day 7 time, but I'm going to say it now because it's fresh in my mind. Thank you so very much for this. It's been wonderful, and I have been enjoying watching everyone's videos. I have some catching up to do, there's no doubt, but the ones I've seen I've enjoyed very much. So the Hierophant, well, did I mention in my last video? This is my birth card, so I do feel a strong connection with this as well. Interesting how I've been picking some cards that I really do resonate with, like the Wheel of Fortune and Temperance. This is another, and the Hermit for me it's just like a snapshot of my life. So I know a lot of people, like, there's a little bit of controversy, I suppose you could suggest, that is attached to this card. Some people have had a challenging time with this card. But for me personally, and I'm speaking of the traditional Hierophant, which I might pause and go and get in a moment. But for me, I've never really had an issue with it. It certainly took a little bit of time to get to know the card in the early stages of my tarot journey and find out how it speaks to me, what is the Hierophant actually trying to tell me, because I did not grow up in a religious household. My parents are actually quite neutral. My father has always been interested in religion, has done a lot of reading and research, but doesn't practice any religion. And I remember when I was quite young, I couldn't understand why my neighbours, who we were very close to, would go to church on Sunday and we didn't. And so my parents explained that they did attend church quite some years ago and they decided it wasn't for them. No one in my family that I know at all is dedicated to any particular religion. So they just suggested to me, if you would like to go, like our neighbours next door welcomed me to attend church. And remember, for kids, at least in Australia, when you were really young, you'd go to what was called Sunday school, and there were lots of activities for children. And I remember going to Sunday school a few times. And then as a teen, that's when this conversation was held, when they basically opened their arms and said, if you'd like to attend church with us, you are more than welcome. And so I did. I did both a few times and thought that was nice. And I love the church itself. I love churches and cathedrals very much, especially in Europe. They are absolutely magnificent. I love the idea of a place of worship. But as far as the religion itself, did I feel, oh wow, this is for me, like I have with tarot and astrology? No, no. But I think there are some beautiful aspects to religion. When managed well, religion is a beautiful thing. I just think that, yeah, it's the shadowy side, the business side that came to my mind over the years that I don't appreciate. That's just my experience. But yeah, I think that's not what religion's about, but I think it does occur. As usual, I'm going off track, but just saying, so the Hierophant having those religious associations does not bother me. However, when I look at a card like this one here from the Bone Stone, this is the grandmother, I truly feel my heart opening with glee, and I think this, for me, is the Hierophant. Okay, I just paused for a moment and grabbed the guidebook because some of you may not have the Bone Stone and Earth Flesh Tarot. And I just wanted to read a few lines about this card because this, to me, speaks, 1,000 words. So the essence is everything you would imagine: wisdom, tradition, conventionalism, guide, teacher, seeker of truth, the great crone, knowledge, religious and spiritual authority. So you can still bring in the traditional aspects of this card if you prefer to look at it from that angle. But the narrative I find truly meaningful. I'll read some of it, not all of it. Her tribe calls her grandmother, for she surrendered her name to nature a lifetime ago. She is the keeper of ancient wisdom, handed down over many lifetimes. She holds the space of the sacred crone, the wise elder of her tribe. The people of her tribe turn to her every day for all manner of things: to heal, to understand, to wed, to bury, to enchant, and to guide. She presides over every rite of passage, every sacred ceremony. It is grandmother who guides those into the realm of spirit. It is she who teaches the old ways. She's responsible for ensuring that the ancient legacy of a fading world is passed along to a worthy student. It's just so meaningful to me. So thank you, Avalon, for your wisdom. So when you look at it coming up into reading, let's see if I can just share a couple of lines. You may be called, this is what I love. When the Hierophant appears in your reading, you may be called upon to walk a more traditional path, a path of wisdom and truth. Sold. For me, at least. This is how I see this card. Through walking this seemingly conventional path, you will gain worlds more than you might think. So the act of walking a path of truth and deep personal discovery, as she says in the book, that I could not choose a better term myself. The Hierophant may also suggest that spiritual knowledge is necessary to better understand the situation at hand. To access this knowledge, you must be prepared to walk the path of the truth seeker in search of the wise crone. So really, in a nutshell, I mean, for me, I've always said it's much the same thing. This card is the revealer of, or represents the revealer of, sacred things. It's the opening of the inner world, the inner voice, and it's my job to find the inner teacher within myself, and because it's what life is all about for me. And even when you look at, I did go and grab my dirty pan. Here it is. Even when you look at the traditional Hierophant, it is said that the pillars in this particular instance, as you can see, they're grey, and grey represents wisdom. Gratitude? Well, first of all, I'm grateful that this card is my birth path because I resonate very deeply with the meaning behind the Hierophant, at least the meaning for me. And I love the fact that also once you tap into, I mean, it's my duty and as well as my right to take time and tap into my inner world, find my inner voice. And what comes out of that is the opportunity to teach others. I think that is a part of the Hierophant, but knowing all along that you are no better than any other human, you are no greater than them. However, if you have something viable to share, it certainly can assist others along their way. And I have been a willing student myself. I have been in this position many times in my life, and have learned a great deal from others. So I think it's that partnership of concepts that rings true for me, and I would like to actively not just pursue both, but achieve both in my life. So to have this as my birth path, as to a very prominent guide in my life, I'm very grateful. And while it's on my mind, I just mentioned that I've been a very willing student throughout my life. I love learning from others, love it. And I think that's probably a part of that association with my birth card. But I'm grateful for the teachers, the decent teachers I have had the privilege to learn from. And I'm also grateful for the teachers that were absolutely full of dolphins and fairies along the way. Sorry, but the world was full of them in the 1990s. In the quote-unquote spiritual world, it was really, when I look back now, I think, wow, I never saw myself as gullible, but goodness me. There was a lot of fluff and fantasy around. However, I think majority of them did mean well, but still, fluff and fairies aside, I'm grateful to them because I still learned so much. I learned at times what to do, and I learned at others what not to do, and realized that if they had stepped into their own authenticity and tapped into their own inner voice, they would have been teaching a very different class, a very different lesson. And, they were following the trend, as was I. As was I. And then at the end, I came out thinking, oh my goodness me, what am I doing? And this is not right. This does not ring true. It's a system. I think there was an aspect of the, again, I say, quote unquote, spiritual community, not all of it, but there was a pocket of the spiritual community that turned everything upside down, not in the best way. I'm talking about, ignoring the shadow, it doesn't exist, or teachers coming along, many of which I saw in person, who claim to be baggage free and they've risen above and they're all light and free and breezy and holy. And that is not true. So they are some of my greatest teachers. And these people who were free of past hurts, burdens, and anger, but then would go and have a temper tantrum just quietly, well, not so quietly, in the corner, in the kitchen, or shouting at their staff. In other words, they certainly did wear a mask, and they portrayed themselves as a particular person, a being of light. And I was reminded, because I doubted myself so much in those days, as far as, say, teaching and guiding others, they showed me that they are just as human as everyone else in the room. And if they can do it, I can certainly give it a try. So for me, there's a great deal of gratitude associated with the Hierophant card when I think about my experiences over the years. And even those teachers that I feel were even denying themselves their own truth, and they were caught up in the system, I still learned from them. I still learned from some of their teachings, for sure. Did anything bad come out of that experience? No. If anything, it opened my eyes. But I love that whole idea of walking your path, and as you do, you open your eyes to your inner world. You open your ears to your inner voice. You find your truth. You embrace it. And then, in a fashion, when you're ready and grounded and open, perhaps activated in a way that enables you to assist others along their path. You do it with integrity. You're not coercing anyone to believe what you believe. You're just sharing in the hope that people can take something that you share with them, and that will assist them. It may be their springboard. And I think one important aspect I must remember to say before I go, I also see the Hierophant as a reminder. Of course, it depends on your question and all that kind of stuff when you're doing a spread, but it is a reminder that you don't, please don't feel obliged to follow their path. And so if the beliefs and rules and conformity of your upbringing or your current circumstances is leading you to feel like an outsider or, almost a foreigner in your own environment, well, there's the Hierophant calling for you to find your own path. Go in, tap into that inner voice. Even for myself, my own personal spiritual practice has changed very dramatically over the past 3 years. So I can still suggest to you that I'm walking a spiritual path, and that really means to me that path of inner awakening, and self-actualization is a term I like to use. But even within that, things are always changing and unfolding. I think that's the way it is supposed to go. So I always think that 5 energy, there may be a disruption to your practice, and all of a sudden you think, wow, I don't think I can do that anymore. That's absolutely fine. The Hierophant suggests that you tap in again and find out where from here. Compare your inner world to what you see around you. Does it match? So for all of the above, I am very grateful because, well, it's what I spent my life doing, to be honest. Hierophant card or not, that is my life in a nutshell. So yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful birth card to have. I'm grateful. Okay, I need to pick a card, and I already have a little deck by my side. I won't waste any time. I'm speaking of the adorable Spirit Speak Tarot, and I'm going to do a quick shuffle. This is for day 6. I may even combine day 6 and day 7. I'll see what happens. Anyway, here we go. So day 6, gratitude practice. What is the card for me? What do I really need to focus on and pay attention to? Okay, the Knight of Wands. Fantastic. I'll take it. So thank you so much once again for watching, and I'll see you again soon for the Knight of Wands.